I thought at our age life would slow down.
Not with everything we need to coordinate.
Why overtime, his basketball league,
My podiatrist and her PT,
his colonoscopy.
her allergist.
We need to be in 2 places at once, which is no problem, because the Iowa Clinic has over 40 specialties all in one place. So when our doctors want to coordinate our care, they just talk to each other.
Our doctors work together to figure out the best care for us, so we can go back to our busy lives, juggling our doctors, our careers.
Our grandchild.
Care how you want it. Visit iowaclinic.com.
All right, guys, welcome to a charged pregame here at Hilton Coliseum. I hope you can hear us okay. We're doing our best, but we wanted to show you the atmosphere as obviously Texas is in town, and Tyrese Hunter is on the floor, and it's really, really loud in here for an hour before tip, Jared. This is pretty charged. This is like once every 10 years type of atmosphere, I think.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen this many students in here as early as what these guys have been in here. They've been waiting in line a long time to get in here, and they haven't crushed a few Busch Lights already here this afternoon. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready for this basketball game. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of analyzing it. I'm just ready to watch these good teams go right now.
Yeah, the basketball games is super important tonight, too. When you look at this game and then Kansas going to Kansas State tonight, even Baylor, Texas Tech has some real meaning to see if Baylor can keep, because they're a talented team, right? This is a really big night in the league standings, but you've got this side storyline, and there's just no way to deny it. From what I understand, all the students have fake money, like Monopoly dollars, that they're going to be throwing up at introductions or whatever. But there's the basketball game too, right? And that's really just a massive game tonight. You come away with this one. We said last week if you could split between Kansas and Texas, it's a really good week for Iowa State, and that's still the fact, even with this whole sideshow here with Tyrese Hunter.
Well, I think even just the aspect of if you can get this one, like you think about that game coming up on Saturday on the road in Stillwater, that's another winnable one for you. You can be 6-1 going into next week in the league. And it's just you got to be able to beat these good teams, especially at Hilton Coliseum, if you want to be able to stay in that race. And I mean, that's obviously where Kansas State's going to be at right now. If they want to be a team that's going to contend to win the Big 12 title, they got to win this one tonight against Kansas in the Octagon again. So huge night. I think we're going to have full clarity about who's going to be in this thing until the very end. By the time, I think by the time tonight ends, because then even just look through the rest of the week. TCU's got to go on the road down to Fieldhouse on Saturday. There's going to be some big games coming up here tonight, but if you're Iowa State, you've got to take care of your business and be able to come out and get a win here and protect your home court.
I was talking to our friend Nick Osen from 247, and just so you know, I muted your mic, Jared, just for echo purposes. And I think too, the big thing with Tyrese, and it's just a really complicated deal because we all know about his background. You feel for a young man like that, makes a move that no doubt, let's just call it a spade, financially helps him and his family. And hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. But it's a very real thing for Iowa State fans who live and breathe Iowa State. Iowa State fans get really pissed off when they feel like you're talking down to them. And to me, that's where this got really nasty. I think if Tyrese ended up going to Duke, it would have been one thing. But not only did he go to Texas, he was tweeting, really amped up. I felt like at first both parties were doing a pretty good job of not saying anything. And then, I don't know, it's like this powder keg, and there were some of the tweets, and then the Gabe Kalsher video, and then the Jamie Pollard interview. I guess my point is this is bigger than, even in my mind, Adam Oluska going to Iowa is Adam Oluska going to Iowa, and that's a big deal. But his coach got fired, and there was all this stuff. I think Iowa State fans take the Hunter thing personally. I don't know if that's right or not, but that's the vibe that I've gotten. And There was a report from our friend Jake Brent from Channel 5 that they were going to eject people. Good luck. Good luck, man. This is if Iowa State wins this thing tonight and gets off to a good start, this is an absolute powder keg. They will be ejecting people, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think the thing for me with the emotion of this game is it's one thing when you have someone who you just don't like, and like you think about Jordan Bohannon, what he was for Iowa State fans for a long time. People just didn't like Jordan, But when you have someone who you think is one of you, and is part of this and wants to be part of this and is going to be one of the foundational pieces of what PJ Oxenberger does, and to turn away from that and then to give up these insinuations that what Iowa State was able to do for you wasn't enough, and it wasn't big enough for you, and you needed more from somewhere else. I think it's easy for people to feel jaded in that scenario because Iowa State obviously gave Tyrese a lot of opportunities last year to be one of the center pieces of their team. They're going to let him hear it tonight. Obviously, I'll be able to see he hasn't had played a huge role for this team over the last several weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how much he plays, how big of an impact he makes. But I think it's going to be a really fun game. Texas has some guys who can really score on all over the court. And, it'll be a fun one. Iowa State's going to get a good test tonight.
All right, Jared, get out of here. We'll hear from you after the game. Thank you. You're a little bit of feedback there with both of our mics, so we'll let you go. I'll take a few of your guys' questions if you have any before we wrap things up here in anticipation for tonight's game from Hilton Coliseum. I actually think Kansas State's going to beat Kansas tonight. I'm on the record there with that one. I'm not crazy about Kansas State, but I also think the Big 12 is even enough where there's going to be some of these road losses for Kansas that we're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised to see Texas Tech beat Baylor tonight either. Again, you saw it on Saturday night when Tech went to Texas, nearly upset the Longhorns. Didn't look like much of a difference between those two teams. I refuse to believe that a team like Tech with a guy like O'Banner is going to win 2 games in the Big 12 this year. I just don't buy it. I think they get to 5 or 6 wins. They got to start picking those things up at some point. Jared wants to know on YouTube right now, should Carr be the focus for Iowa State on the defensive end? Yeah, I think so. I feel like as he goes, Texas kind of goes. I think Gabe Kalscheur would really like to sink his teeth into Tyrese Hunter tonight, but I would guess that TJ Otzelberger gives him the assignment of Carr. We'll see. The thing about a team as talented as Texas, as you guys know, this is not rocket science. They got 3 or 4 guys who can beat you every night, but he's the guy. Just really interested to see the start of this basketball game. These types of environments, you really want to hone in on that early. I've seen these a lot. And I don't think Iowa State is a basketball team playing from behind. We all know this. Shouldn't be that type of a game for Iowa State. They need to come out, get a lead early. It looks like I'm starting to have some internet problems here, so I'm going to wrap this thing up. We'll be here after the game as well with our post-game reaction podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy watching it. Thanks for following us. Thanks to our friends at the Iowa Clinic for sponsoring, and we'll talk to you guys.